The man casually spit on the ground and hit a passing girl square. The girl immediately stopped him, demanding he take responsibility. But the man said, instead walking right up to her. He tried to wipe it off with his sleeve, but the girl wasn't having. So the man got the message and rolled up his sleeve to help, only to get slapped for being stunned. He froze in place, not knowing what to do, but he quickly pulled himself together. When the girl finally woke up, she saw him squatting next to her. Then he scolded her for being so rude. He told her the spit on her shirt had already been wiped clean. But even after the girl lashed out again, the man didn't get mad. Instead, he helped her up, and if anything felt off later, just come find him with a casual promise. He turned and walked away, but before he could leave, the girl called out again on a wooden scooter. This guy keeps his word, but the girl didn't want money. She asked him to buy her Their conversation was chaotic as ever. Just as the man was, she asked for his number. She said if she felt unwell, she'd call him for compensation. The man suddenly realized he'd met someone even more shameless than him, and gave her his pager number anyway. That girl on the hospital bed, so hot. I totally saw her. Your baby. Not even close. So sweet of you. Just look at how ads are these days. It's enough to make you want to sing from Where'd the Other Guy Go? Zushin works as a debt collector for a loan shark. Every time he collects, the boss hands out bonuses, but only in secret. The boss asked if his father had been released. Zushin said that his old man had been out of prison for a whole month already. He saw a man beating his girl. Zushin knocked him down with then kicked him like he squatted beside the woman, spit on her face, then slapped her across the face, and didn't stop there. I sucked the loneliness out of you. I missed you. Back home, he stood outside his father's door, then finally walked in and beat the old man senseless. When he was a child, his father abused his mother daily. His sister tried to stop, but got stabbed by their father. Zushin carried her to the hospital, but she was already dead on the way and died on the spot. He joined a friend's loan shark company. Only by unleashing violence could he find emotional relief. Maybe that's why Zushin, now in his 30s, never settled down. Every payday, he'd show up with snacks and cash to see the kid. He'd leave in a hurry. She'd invite him to stay for dinner and walk off with both hands in his pockets. She said, so even gangsters then demanded to know why he never called her back. Just then, the girl told them they were just talking and kicked at the officers like a man. Afterward, the girl hid him somewhere safe. She said he owed her and asked him to take her shopping, but she dragged him off, and so the two wandered through the city for a while. But when Zushin spotted his sister, he stopped walking, then turned around. One day, a new guy joined the company. The boss told, but the rookie just stood there clueless the whole time. Zushin's old habit, and he started beating. He told him to toughen up, never go. He had no idea that rookie, the guy was a total deadbeat, and whenever he was broke, he beat his sister for. Besides her scumbag brother, the girl had a mentally. When she was little, her dad constantly accused her mom of cheating. After his wife died, he lost his grip on reality. He became convinced his own kids were. Zushin brought money. He scattered a pile of bills on the floor, just silently poured him. After a few shots, the memories of childhood came flooding back along with his rage. Singing unintelligibly. Singing continues, distorted and fragmented, barely coherent muttering, disconnected phrases. Singing nonsense words, babbling gibberish. Random syllables and phrases. Gibberish continues. He even asked the girl out again. By the time they got to his sister's place, he was about to leave, but the girl stayed behind to help cook. Oddly enough, This time he didn't insist on leaving. When they stepped outside, the girl asked him to treat her. 141. 05, 4280, 05, 5720. They went to a street food stall together. He still talked like a jerk, but she was already. He told her to find a man, or their son would keep getting mocked for not having a father, because it reminded her of her abuse. As usual, Zushin handed over his paycheck. He exploded. He couldn't understand why she still cared about him, then let his father's blood flow in him. He grabbed some random guy on the street and beat him up. He hit him while Why? Why did you kill mom and my sister? His nephew saw everything. Zushin could only take out his rage on a debtor, but the guy just stood frozen. Zushin knocked him to the ground and kept yelling that anyone saw. After collecting that day, he went to find his sister. He guessed she must have gone to visit and sure enough, when he got home, she and her son were there happily playing games with the old man. He suddenly felt like he was the one. Confused, he went to talk to his boss, but the boss said the same thing no matter how much your dad, he already paid for it in prison. It's been so many years. Why not let go? Zushin stormed out, still fuming, heading home to teach his father. But when he opened the door, he saw his father collapsed on the floor. In that moment, Zushin felt he shook his father's body again and again, but it had already gone cold and he carried him on his back to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctor quietly said, "We'll need paperwork." Zushin collapsed and shouted, "This can't be happening." Garbled speech. Safety first. You think you're tougher than Bobo with 100k and 17 points. 700 or just a few hundred. They've already broken your record. Your numbers don't make sense. You don't run things anyway. That team belongs to. No matter what day it is, he's still big. After the transfusion, he called Yanxi to meet him by the still tossing curses. But even so, whenever he was, Zushin felt a strange kind of peace he'd never known before. Every family has its own struggles. When those old wounds came flooding back, Ajun lay on Yanxi's lap, unable to hold it in anymore. Right before Yanxi came out to meet him, her own father knew. In another delusion, her mentally unstable father mistook her for his dead wife. He banged on the door outside while she hid inside, crying. Only after he regained did she dare to run out into the street, sobbing and calling for her mom. She didn't know why she was even alive. She almost forgot she was just an 18-year-old girl. Later, Ajun asked if her parents. She forced a smile and said, "Of course they do." My head. It's always on the verge of crying. So much pain. Too much to take. Ajun didn't respond. He just cried. The two of them clung to each other and wept until the silent night completely swallowed them. The next day, his father thankfully pulled through, but his nephew had grown distant. But the boy deliberately sat for. He tried to get him, but the kid just sat there, silent. Finally, as his nephew called out to him, "I just want you to stay away from me." After that, Ajun went to his boss and said he was quitting. The boss froze for a moment, then said he didn't want to run. He'd saved enough money, wanted to open a small He asked Ajun to help him, said he'd already set aside retirement. Ajun invited him to his nephew's school performance. The boss asked him to collect one last debt first. But once they arrived, Ajun hesitated. The debtor was a Their living conditions were shockingly The whole scene reminded Ajun of his own family. Ajun wanted to let them off the hook, but Yingkai didn't listen. It was like he snapped. Brutal, just like Ajun used. Hearing the children's terrified and watching a monster, just like he couldn't take the guilt any longer. He shouted for Yingkai to stop. But as they were leaving, The single father smashed Ajun over the head. In that moment, Ajun finally understood the man's rage, trying not to leave them any scar. So Ajun chose to forgive him. But on the way back, because Yun Kai had ignored his orders as usual, he yelled at him the whole way. But what Ajun didn't notice was that defiance had already taken root in Yun Kai's heart. And this time, his blows would hit hard. People thought Ajun had changed, that he'd shaken off a lot. Even someone who never feared or backed down had rediscovered a trace of human kindness through him. The seeds of violence he sowed would take root and grow in someone else. News of Ajun's death spread quickly. But even with all his cruelty, there was always a sliver of conscience in him. Yet somehow, people could still feel warm. Still, to others it was just a fleeting sense of pity. Who would remember this misguided loss? Not long after, Huayu witnessed something all too familiar. A group of thugs were bullying a street. It looked exactly like what Ajun used to do. The person leading the charge was her own. In that moment, when their eyes met, Huayu knew something even darker than Ajun had been born. But Ajun wasn't like the average out. There was still a flicker of tender, green, and pure. But fate buried him in poison. He tried to escape the life he hated, but was always trapped in a maze of twisted. The death of a green-headed fly doesn't matter to anyone. How could life ever be reduced to just a bowl of rice?